Tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 ndio hii imefika. Wengine wanaita Nane Nane. It's the 8th of August 2024. Wow. I went back to 2012.
What happened in 2012? What happened then? What happened?
I remember that story. Anyway, karibu sana. This is the Morning Cafe. A very chilly morning here, but how hot is the coffee where you are? My name is Fred Indebuli.
I'm usually Stanley Nyuringita. When you were coming into work, there were quite a number of roadblocks kwa barabara. So when you wake up this morning, you might be expecting to see that. We'll be showing you kwa traffic when itakuwa ina affect traffic flow yako wherever you live along Thika Road. Nasikia pia Kiambu Road.
Oh yes.
Part of
we'll be checking on the map. I'm sure it will cause some disruption kidogo pale. But to some better news, at least Abraham Kibiwot, representing Kenya at the Olympics, won bronze in the 3,000 meter steeplechase. Now, unfortunately, this time round, because many people have gotten used to winning 1, 2, 3 in the 3,000 meter steeplechase for Kenya, this time round,
the podium is what they call
yes.
it. Yeah.
Now we only got bronze, but congratulations to Abraham Kibiwot. Congratulations, asante sana kwa kutuletea medalia.
I think it's the 5th now. I think so far
yes.
we have about
Kenya is currently ranked 5th on the medal, 36th on the medal standings with a total of 5 medals, 1 gold, 1 silver, and 3 bronze medals. Yes. So yes, we continue with the Olympic medal haul, like we are not doing so well. Back home, a lot is happening today. The anticipated protests, as you mentioned, roadblocks here and there, plus the swearing in of the cabinet, not nominees now, appointees, because they were appointed via Gazette notice yesterday. They'll be sworn in.
19 of them.
Yes, they'll be sworn in this morning and be looking at some of these discussions with our panelists this morning. Unfortunately, Robert Alai, the MCA for Kileleshwa, had a very long night because today is going to be a very busy day, and so he won't be able to make it to studio. But Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party PNU, and Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga Ward, are expected to join us for that conversation.
Oh, yes. Later on, we have some interesting conversations. If you're interested in matters sales and the whole motivational speaking, we'll be having this with Andy Preston. Stick around for that at around 8 a.m. And then later on into matters law, the law succession, we get into the estate interference. Someone has interfered with your estate, so we get to understand the whole law of succession with Silas Okiro. He's an advocate of the High Court. All
right, straight to the dailies. Ruto Raila deal faces litmus test. That's a big headline on the front page of the Daily Nation, and it's a very busy page today. I don't know why, because in comparison to its sister paper in Uganda, you'll see how neat the front page is. But that's the Daily Nation today. Matters Raila Ruto politics.
And then
People Daily
decided to continue its string of kufinya. Public views were hot air in vetting is the big headline.
Yes. Did your views matter anywhere? We'll be coming back to take a look at the details on how much hotter it was.
And what was said yesterday.
A very long headline here. Big battle as PSC restores scrapped civil servant parks. SRC had abolished most of the allowances to rationalize wage bill, but Public Service Commission returns it. And that whole discussion about austerity, what exactly are we talking about? That's the Star this morning.
Mtihani kwa ndoa ya Ruto Raila leo. Sema itakuwa maandamano yale itakuwa ya kwanza tangia wawili hawa waungane pamoja.
State saves 1.3 million borrowers from loan defaulters listing. That's Matters Business on the front page of the Business Daily. And you realize our local dailies today are fewer. That's because we still cannot access the Standard. We're hoping to get the physical copy online, and imejaribu hakuna. So let's take a look at what our neighbors are talking about. And this is how neat this paper is. And they always do this every single day. They have a very neat front page.
And a white backdrop.
Against a white backdrop. So they're talking about new 4-step land titling. The land registration steps, which are currently being piloted in Karamoja sub-region, were developed after a benchmarking study of the Georgian land registration model in Eastern Europe. Wameweka pale. Wanasema vile tutakuwa tunajaza, lakini kule ni Uganda, sio upande huu. Yes. So that's as far as the Daily Monitor is concerned.
Matters Education making big news on the front page of New Vision. They say how proposed teachers' law affects schools. They also had this conversation yesterday, a whole new law targeting schools, and they say defiant head teachers and owners put on notice. More is on page 6.
Matters Education making it to the front page of the New Vision. That's as far as Uganda is concerned.
Yes.
Over in Tanzania, bei ya sukari ilivyomtesa. Rais Samia asimulia nyakati ngumu. Aeleza mtetemeko waliopitia kwa wafanyabiashara kuficha sukari katika magala kupaisha bei. Azindua rasmi mkulazi akisema itapunguza makali, atoa maagizo kwa watendaji. Now if you compare just how busy this page is and take a look at the Daily Monitor, it's a lot of confusion here. Ni safari kina Mdii kurejea nyumbani. Kakati wa chini chini wasukwa wazua mjadala. Kipenda zaidi unaweza nunua hili gazeti. Wana habari nyingi sana unavyoona kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Wana mengi ya kusema leo.
Well, mengi hayo yanaendelea katika gazeti la The Citizen. That conversation about sugar. I told you, for Tanzanians, when they see matters sugar, it's always big news for them. And particularly, even for the very top strip, how sugar price hikes gave Samia sleepless nights. Ni kama your taste ya sukari ilikuwa ina taste vibaya.
Hapa Kenya, sugar prices never give the president sleepless nights.
Labda ya unga
He
sasa.
cares least, probably unga.
Unga sasa. But then, now for the big conversation, because it has been given quite the prominence, quote unquote, it was a day of horror and fear. 6-year-old Malik Hashim narrowly escaped death after a housemaid slit his throat and left him for dead. Now in recovery after surgery, his mother shares the harrowing ordeal, recounting the events that unfolded before and after the brutal attack. So just to quote what the mother pictured here, says, "I asked him who did this to you, and in a very slow and painful tone, he replied, Dada." And it just continues to show the string of abuse against children in that country. You talk about what it portrays to that community.
Very sad news there. Also a mention of what's happening in the UK, and because of what's happening in Kenya, we've given very minimal attention to this. But on this UK unrest, the Tanzanian High Commission has called for citizen safety. You see, when there's a problem in Kenya and the US gives an advisory, now Tanzania has done that for UK, for its citizens in the UK.
Also
Tanzania's High Commission in the UK has issued an alert to its citizens following violent riots targeting migrants that have spread across multiple British cities. You're saying something?
I also saw Nigeria did the same, I think some days ago, 2 days ago. Yes, when over the weekend actually. Yes, they advised the citizens over there and gave an advisory.
They say aura for aura.
Oh yeah.
What you do to us, we do to you.
We
Back
do
to you.
Yes. Kumbu najua Gen Z lingo.
And I tell you, I'm learning. I'm learning. Those are the dailies today, both in Kenya and across the region. We'll be back to look at the local dailies later on. Let's take a look at the traffic situation. And we have talked about it.
Some bits might be tricky today as you leave the house.
Yes, anyone who's already left home by now, you may have realized that there are a number of police roadblocks on major highways heading towards town. And that could be a cause of some delays here and there.
I think for Thika Road, you can start maybe all the way to around
you can see
Safari
like,
Park. Okay,
yeah,
you can start with
this is
Road
much
as well,
closer.
Yes.
Around the Four-Ways Junction next to the Northern Bypass where Kiambu Road and the Northern Bypass meet. You can see there's already a snarl up on both sides of the road heading towards Kiambu and heading towards town. That's because of a police roadblock. Yes. There are several other instances where there's such police roadblocks across other major roads, and anyone traveling towards town will most likely encounter this. And this could mean that probably
okay, there's one around here, but naona bado traffic ni kama watu waanza kuaccess barabara bado.
So if you're hoping to go to town, just expect some delays because of these roadblocks that have been mounted on various areas. But you look at Jogoo Road this morning and you realize nothing much, but
I think again, because mostly when we hear there's maandamano, this always happens, but then it's
this most likely is a roadblock because it's just
on one
side heading towards town, and it's just before you get to City Stadium roundabout. And if you go further back, there's not much traffic on Jogoo Road this morning. But this is an indication of a roadblock. And if we go further south, well, more or less the same. Bits and pieces of yellow here and there. A bit of traffic at Marikiti area, that's Haile Selassie Avenue.
To be expected. I think it was also quite red yesterday.
But do expect quite a number of roadblocks this morning, with police anticipating an inflow of so many would-be protesters into town.
Yes.
Yes, that's the traffic situation this morning.
And better yet, if you witness one, mukiona moja, tuambie pahali iko, text us 22047 so that you also alert other people. You can take a look at the weather updates in different parts of the country just to see how it is expected. We start off with West Pokot. Right now it is 14 degrees Celsius. Precipitation 5%. That means chances of it raining into the day are quite high. And yes, as you can see, evidently into the evening around 3 p.m. Thunderstorms, it is going to be increasing to 30%, 21 degrees Celsius there. Let's see another place into Kwale, the coast region. Right now it is 21 degrees Celsius. Indi ile weather yenye watu wa around Nairobi wana enjoy during the day. This is expected to get even as hotter as 27 degrees into the evening, some kind of cold conditions, as the Kenya Met Department had told us, a whole weather forecast for this whole week. Into the Lake region, Uko sides of Siaya, 19 degrees Celsius right now as of 6 a.m. It is going to be warmer into the day, but then also chillier. So do expect some wetter conditions, 23 degrees, and then some thunderstorms getting into the evening as well. And finally into Nairobi, even as you expect the Nane Nane demonstrations, 15 degrees Celsius right now. And it's quite chilly out here, by the way. And it promises to actually get as more chillier, but then cloudy as well. So usitegemee jua sana leo if you're around Nairobi and its metropolitan regions. Talk about sides of the River, Kiambu, Thika as well. Jua itaanza kutokea after around noon, 3 p.m., 2 p.m. And this is going to be short-lived for beach temperatures as low as 21 degrees Celsius. That is how the weather is looking like. Getting into the diary, something you had mentioned earlier, the 19 cabinet secretary appointees are right now going to be sworn in as of around 9 a.m. So I do expect that as well. But then something that we're going to be anticipating for today, the August 8th protest, popularly dubbed as Nane Nane, which has been organized by a coalition of youth groups and civil society organizations, is expected to take place today across the country. So it is a response to years of economic hardship, high unemployment, and widespread corruption. We wait to see how that is. I saw on X, one of the biggest, one of the highest trends is Occupy State House. So tutaona venye itakuwa inaonekana. Something that we are also anticipating to be happening today on the next page. So President William Ruto had begun his 3-day tour to Mount Kenya region yesterday. He was in Embu, so we're expecting him to visit counties like Murang'a and Kirinyaga today and tomorrow. But then the fact that the cabinet swearing in is going to be happening, wait to see if he's going to appear in State House today and then continue.
He'll definitely be at State House in the morning at 9 a.m. for the swearing in. It's whether or not he will still make it for the
tour
in
and
Murang'a
continue
later on. Yes, but chances are he may.
Well, the fact that the demonstrations might also continue, and some of these regions, Murang'a and Kirinyaga, are hotspots of demonstrations in the recent weeks. Wait to see if that is going to be happening. But then, majorly, even in our news bulletins, we're going to be seeing how this trip is going to be a litmus test for the Deputy President's grip of the region, just to assess the level of support his administration has and also evaluate his influence following the recent political decisions. And because you had mentioned about the race for the medals, let's take a look at today's schedule on the Paris Olympics for today. So today, first off, we're going to be expecting at around noon there, the men's 800 meters hit 2 repechage. Koitatoi Kidali will be representing Kenya. And then at around, let me see the list there. Yes, Faith Kipyegon will be running today for the 1500 meters women's semi-final at around 8:35 p.m. And then for semi-final 2, that's about hit 2, Susan Ejore will be also representing for the same race, 1500 meters women's final. 2. So then the finals will be happening on the 10th of August. So fingers crossed, Faith Kipyegon as well as Susan Ejore to highly represent us vizuri. Then today all eyes are on Askari Afande Julius Yego. Yes, he'll be participating in the men's final of the javelin at around 9:25 p.m. today. So again, fingers crossed to tapata medali from that.
Oh yes, let's hope for gold today.
Most definitely. Right now, though, let's take a look at a deep dive into the dailies. But then, even as we also transition to the dailies, just a reminder for today in history, back in 2017, on a day like today, millions of voters turned up to vote. Ilikuwa election day back in 2017.
Okay.
Yes.
Tomorrow we'll be marking exactly 2 years since we voted in 2022.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Let's take a look at the dailies. All right, Daily Nation, that's our first paper today. As we said, we're still yet to receive the Standard. So Ruto Raila deal faces litmus test. Nane Nane, President William Ruto's broad-based government, in which he has co-opted ODM leader Raila Odinga, faces its first test today. As the youth plot a fresh round of demos in their continued push for governance reforms, the president has once again warned the protesters to shun violence, while the U.S. has waded into the matter. What did the U.S. say? That story is on page 2 and 3 of this daily.
And as you're saying, it's quite a busy front page.
Very busy.
But
meanwhile, police have warned protesters to follow the law and keep off protected areas. The other stories given prominence are on top there. Two of them, intrigues in rejection of CS nominee. One out of the 20 who underwent the vetting process was rejected. So it is only 19 CSs will be sworn in this morning at State House. So the nominee for gender affairs.
Yes, Soy, Stella Langat.
Stella Langat,
yes,
has been rejected.
So does that mean now that the president will have to appoint a new nominee on that docket?
Yes, most probably, yes. He could also take her name back.
Okay.
But you know, Parliament has been on previously, I remember in the last vetting in 2022, one of the nominees, not even in 2022, one of the nominees has previously been rejected. But then again, the name was presented back in Parliament and then she was approved. So you never know. It may not be done yet.
So yes, this even as we also wait for the vetting of Attorney General nominee.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I believe also for arid and semi-arid lands, missiles, nominee as well.
Oh, yes. Some other positive news, Ndongo Kundu bypass opens up the south coast for business. Now, this is big news for any person who's traveled on that road to Mombasa. And if you're going to Kwale and Diani areas by road, then you're forced to go all the way to the Likoni ferry, cross the channel, and you get to the south coast. Now you don't have to do that. The Ndongo Kundu bypass has finally been opened, and you don't have to get to Mombasa. You can just use the bypass and go to Kwale. So that's the interesting bit about this. A lot will be said about it, but it's one of those mega projects that many Kenyans have been looking forward to. And finally, it's been opened. It's on the front page there. No reprieve state admits fuel levy hike wiped away price drop at the pump. So many people would have expected that with the Finance Act of 2023 being declared unconstitutional, and then meaning that the reduction in VAT from 16 to 8%, that the pump prices would go down. No. Wamesema hapana. Levy itainua tu. And more pictures about what's happening at the Olympic Games, including the runner from Bahrain and other Kenyans who are representing other countries. Talent drain, Kenyan-born stars who are chasing Olympic glory for adopted nations. That story is on page 34 of the Daily Nation.
I see they also make mention of Harris and Walz' first ever campaign together. Walz is the new
running mate,
yes, wa Kamala Harris. That is the Daily Nation for you. Tuangalie People Daily, they say public views were hot air in vetting. The House team dismisses memoranda by Kenyans raising queries on integrity of candidates and gang up to approve 19 Ruto cabinet picks set to be sworn in at the break of dawn today at around 9 a.m. Remember, we'll be giving you live pictures of that. Stick around right here.
Okay. But this story has to be looked alongside this one.
Yes, yes.
Where the leader of majority is talking about why most of those memoranda presented to them were rejected. It says 656 submitted memoranda did not meet the requirements.
All of them?
Yes.
That's
walikuwa watu wanasalamia committee.
Wow.
Wanasalamia kamati, alafu that's why they say public views were hot air probably.
Well, other headlines, pale chini matters education that have been making big news this particular week. They might have been down because of everything that is happening to the cabinet. It is mad rush for varsity loans after HELB extends application deadline. In case you're interested, check that out on page 2. But then something that is going to be happening today on page 3, police warm up to face Gen Z demos. I have the picture there of Inspector General acting. Yes, Acting Inspector General Masengele. Consumers face return of price controls, that is on page 5, and that in a nutshell is what People Daily has on the Star.
Big battle as PSC restores scrapped civil servant parks. This one moves away from what people are talking about.
Yes.
On the front page, there's no mention of the CSs or the nominees or the protests.
It actually has a mention of...
Voting committee rejected gender CS nominee. Oh, at least there's mention there.
Yeah.
Finally, my bad. But SRC has abolished most of the allowances to rationalize wage bill. You remember 2 months ago, there was a big discussion about the wage bill. There was actually a wage bill conference. Yeah. So a lot did not happen, or a lot happened, but now some of that has been scrapped. Meanwhile, a picture there of the president and his deputy facing Mount Kenya. Ruto faces Mount Kenya as split with Gachagua widens. That's a story there. Pasaris, how I won battle with mental illnesses. Also features on the front page of the Star.
She recollects since she was young, all the mental illnesses she has had to face.
Okay, interesting. And what nurses will take home under new CBA. Those are the stories on the Star this morning.
Finally, nimeona physical standard imefika. Tuangazie gazeti la Taifa Leo before we get to the Standard. Mtihani kwa ndoa ya Ruto Raila leo. Wasema maneno ya ushirikiano wa kisiasa kati ya Rais William Ruto na kinara wa upinzani Raila Odinga utawekwa kwenye mizani leo. Vijana wakitarajiwa kuandaa maandamano wanaoita Nane Nane kushinikiza utawala wa sasa ung'atuke mamlakani. Habari kuu katika ukurasa wa pili. Wasema maandamano ya leo yatakuwa ya kwanza tangu rais ateue wandani wa Raila serikali kuu. Vidokezo vingine pale, hiyo barabara ya Dongo Kundu, nadhani ni Daily Nation na Taifa Leo wameangazia kidokezo hiki kwa mno. Wasema wakazi wa Mombasa na Kwale jana walipata fursa ya kwanza kutumia barabara kuu ya Dongo Kundu, huko wasafiri na wafanyabiashara wakitaja mradi huo kama afueni, kwani utainua uchumi wa eneo hilo. Kwenye masuala ya political parties, Odinga alivyomeza ndoano ya UDA, rais alitumia hamu ya Odinga kutoa wadhifa wa AUC kumshawishi kiongozi wa ODM kumkinga dhidi ya Gen Z. Vidokezo vingine kabla tuangalie hicho cha kule Marekani, pale juu wanazungumzia taarifa ambayo vidokezo vingine au magazeti mengine hayana. Aliyekuwa waziri wa zamani Fred Matiang'i ametiwa moyo na rai za vijana wa Gen Z wanaomtaka awanie urais uchaguzini mwaka 2027. Wasema aanza mbio kujiandaa kwa ikulu. Interesting dynamics there.
Interesting now the introduction of another presidential candidate, possible presidential candidate, because I remember people asking, okay, so which other candidate, which other possible candidate? Well, there it is. Finally, we have a copy of the Standard.
Kidogo tuona pia Mtata's name being fronted around here. And finally, something that you might have seen yesterday, they also have it here. Benki Kuu yatangaza noti mpya. Sema katika taarifa, CBK ilieleza kuwa mabadiliko hayo yataathiri noti za shilingi 50, 100, 200, 500 na 1000. Unaweza soma mengi ya hayo katika ukurasa wa 3. Tuangalie kwa standard au business.
The Standard.
Standard.
Finally, the Standard. Cabinet to hit a road after rubber stamp. That's a big headline. It was smooth sail in Parliament for 19 cabinet nominees in spite of hundreds of memoranda sent to MPs on their conduct and pending court cases. John Badi and Opio Ondai even high-fived members when they walked in to bid farewell to the House. They say tomorrow, it's actually today, they will be sworn in amid protest ruckus.
Hapo kwa high-fived members ndio wali make sure it has to be on the front page.
Yes, Namata's protest also on the front page of the Standard. Nane Nane, civil servants put on notice. Government has warned public workers not to add fire to the demos by displaying opulence, as it cautioned them not to participate in the same. However, Gen Z youth say their march is still on. Yeah. Matter steeplechase that we're talking about, country steeplechase future lies in small faith, and that's a story that features on the back page of the Standard. Why steeplechase future lies in small faith, and they're talking about the women's race. Kenya's Faith Cherotich celebrates after winning bronze in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase final at the 2024 Paris Olympics on Tuesday. So in both the men's and women's races, we've just won bronze in both. So Faith Cherotich winning in the women's race and Abraham Kibiwot winning in the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase. That's a Standard this morning.
Right. Also make mention of what is happening in the music festivals. Kumbuka zinaendelea. I think to the end of about this week or early next week. They say corruption, patriotism and CBC take center stage in the whole music festivals. That in a nutshell is the Standard. On Business Daily, matters loans and loans is quite mentioned on this daily quite a lot. The big headline, state saves 1.3 million borrowers from loan defaulters listing. This is one of those headlines when someone Fuchs. You might just be part of those 1.3 million borrowers. Serikali imefanya hiyo kitu. So new individual negative records fell to new low of about 933,551 in 2023. So the decline is due to the CRB regulation reform. CRB is the Credit Revenue Reference Bureau. Palechini, they have a different angle to what Taifa Leo had on the whole printing of the new notes. Treasury snubs $2 in a new currency printing deal. So basically, Treasury didn't really mention who the specific Germany firm is going to be for this new printing deal, but then they say how the new notes are going to be looking like. On the ticker, average size of home loans nearly halves in 4 years. So the average size of loans taken by Kenyans has nearly halved in the aftermath of the COVID-19 scourge, signaling a go-slow by risk-averse lenders and a population desperate for cash to survive in a tough economy. To something else that, they also make mention about invested to buy 500 million cash shilling stick in the Transmara's Angata sugar mills. But then something that is keen for you this morning, Treasury eyes 78 billion cash shillings inflow in the new International Monetary Fund budget support cash. So basically, the government is eyeing for more loans of that. That is the Business Daily for you. Tuangalie maswala ya cartoon sasa.
Yes, we start with the Daily Nation on page 17, and the cartoon there has a huge truck branded ODM, and it's a ODM Rescue Services, but it's headed towards Kenya Kwanza, so the possibility of ODM joining the ruling coalition Kenya Kwanza. But there's a very treacherous bridge, and on that bridge, someone is falling with a wheelbarrow. So this ODM Rescue Services says their motto is, we cross the bridge when we get there. So kama unauliza ODM wanaenda Kenya Kwanza au sio, wamesema tukifika hapo utaona, tutajua. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation. On the Standard, we have it on page 14. We have a caricature of the Deputy President looking act and wondering what's happening. Meanwhile, there's a hand drawing lines or circles around him. And this pen is branded Parliament. So yes, UDA trying to encircle the Deputy President using Parliament. Matters to do with impeachment, possible impeachment of the Deputy President there.
Yeah. On People Daily, Stano's Stick on page 10, they have a caricature of President William Ruto with his green counter, and he's trying to balance between Nane Nane demonstrations, and I believe that is something that looks like a ballot box, and he's walking on a tight rope. They call it the ultimate test. The ultimate test of him trying to balance what he says and does in the ongoing demonstrations, as well as his focus for the 2027 elections.
Yes, how he will handle the demonstrations today will count a lot. And that's a delicate balance you're talking about. And it's also mentioned on the front page of the Standard. The U.S. has spoken and says, "We are watching you," U.S. warns Ruto on demos, police brutality. So we'll be looking at this and a lot more with my panelists on State of the Nation after the break. Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party PNU, and Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga, also the chairperson of the UDA MCA's caucus. That is our panel this morning. Robert Alai, unfortunately, will not be able to make it. He has had a very busy night, yes, because today is a busy day. So we anticipate a lot coming later on. And we'll be beaming live the Cabinet's swearing-in ceremony from State House around 9 a.m. So you can stand by for that as well.
Oh yes, and a lot more coming up. 22047 is our SMS number. You're seeing it in even our social media handles at TV47KE on Facebook, on our WhatsApp number 0793267279, and Ringita _ at Fred Indimule. Tuchukue break, tutarudi.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Monday.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. Time for us to take some quick news updates. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has come out to assure Kenyans of the safety of the Kenyan police delegation in Haiti after reports emerged last week of a Kenyan officer shot in a confrontation with Haitian guns. Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei further revealed that the ministry is or has scheduled a Pan-African civil society event dubbed the Africa for Haiti Initiative this month, aimed at addressing the multifaceted challenges faced by the Caribbean country.
A Kenyan police officer who is part of the multinational security support mission in Haiti on Tuesday last week suffered a gunshot injury during a gunfight with a section of the gangs. According to Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei, the officer was apparently wounded in the shoulder while trying to drive out the gangs alleged to have been looting from a truck along the National Hospital APN Seaport Road.
And in that context, there was a situation in which they encountered one of the gangs, and one of them was shot.
The PS confirmed that the Kenyan police officer was treated and recovered and was ready to join the rest of the team members in an active duty.
He's actually recovered already, and it will just take a few more days before he goes back to duty.
Despite the Haitian government's assistance in carrying out their duty, one of the obstacles faced by the Kenyan security officials in Haiti has been their inability to interact with local populations cohesively.
They have a resident translator as well, and they're working very closely with their counterparts within the Haitian National Police.
Following lack of sufficient knowledge about the activities taking place within the mission, the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs and Africa for Haiti movement will jointly host the Harmony for Haiti concert and cultural festival on 24th August 2024. The purpose of the event is not only to show Kenyan support for the advancement and prosperity of the people of Haiti, but also show solidarity with them.
And that is why we at Africa for Haiti saw it fit that we establish this initiative so that we can bridge that gap and build a people-to-people relationship through culture, through music, through arts, dance, and many other activities.
To generate solidarity from the bottom in support of these deployments so that Kenyans can connect with this mission.
Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli says the police have gathered intelligence showing criminal threats to infiltrate the protests planned for today. The protest, dubbed Nane Nane, seek to have 1 million people converge in the capital, Nairobi, as a push for reforms and accountability in the government continues. Sheila Chelangat reports.
Tomorrow, the 8th of August, Kenyans who have been pressing for reforms and accountability in government are expected to hit the streets to protest. Another round of demonstration, this one seeking to have millions from across the country converge in the capital.
We call upon the young people of this country that it is time that we come forward.
And with tension palpable on the planned demonstrations, President William Ruto has called on Kenyans to reject violence disguised as protests.
Hatutaki maandamano ambayo inaleta maafa, ambayo inaleta kuharibifu wa mali, ambayo watu wanapoteza mali yao. Tunataka amani. Watu wa Embu mnasema tunataka amani ama mnataka fujo iendelee?
Nane Nane tuko haso. Nane Nane tuko katika majukumu yetu ya kila siku, hakuna mambo ya maandamano.
Meanwhile, the police say they have intelligence on threats to the peaceful demonstrations tomorrow.
Our intelligence report indicated that there are security threats to the country, with criminal planning to infiltrate tomorrow's demonstration and commit further crimes. In anticipation, we have ensured adequate deployment of security personnel.
Protected areas like State House and state lodges have been marked as no-go zones.
We also wish to caution members of the public against contravening the Kenya Civil Aviation Act and Protected Areas Act by avoiding trespass of protected areas such as Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and State House lodges.
The young demonstrators have called the march tomorrow a historical one as their quest for change goes on. Meanwhile, all Kenyans have been assured of their security tomorrow. Sheila Chelangat for TV 47.
All right, time now for us to take a look at the big headlines this morning on State of the Nation. On the Standard, Cabinet to hit road after rubber stamp. Underline the word rubber stamp. The front page of the Standard also makes mention of the protests, Nane Nane, and the warning from the U.S. We are watching you. U.S. warns Ruto on demos, police brutality. And on the Daily Nation, Ruto-Raila deal faces litmus test. And this is linked to the demonstrations today. With me this morning, we have Njeri Kahiga, National Youth Leader, Political Party, PNU. Karibu sana.
Asante.
It's good to have you in studio.
Thank you.
And Kiruga Dhuku, MCA Shinga, Chairperson UDA MCA Caucus. Karibu sana.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, before we even get to matters, the headlines, there's a lot to be said about what's happening in Paris with the Olympics. And yesterday we saw medal haul for Kenya go up one more after we won bronze in the 3,000 meter steeplechase for men. Now, this is a bit worrying, and if you look at social media, there's a lot of concern that we seem not to be performing as we have been over the years, especially in races that were traditionally a clean sweep for Kenya, 3,000 meter steeplechase, for example. So Abraham Kibiwot won the bronze medal in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, but do you share in those concerns that this time around it appears Kenya has been very slow in getting the momentum at the Olympics?
First of all, I want to say that just like any other ministry in this nation, the Olympics participants in Kenya have also been at the disadvantage of the fact that mismanagement of funds in this country has become a big issue. You heard of a story of the lady who is representing Bahrain who took the gold medal, saying that she is a Kenyan, but she was not selected to represent Kenya. She ended up representing Bahrain. And it's not the first time that she has done it. Reason being, they find that when we go to these competitions, just like any other competition in Kenya, sometimes the list is being rubber stamped, sometimes it's who knows who, sometimes even those who have won are not even given the best facilities to practice. And remember, if you don't give these athletes the best platforms to do their practices, the best management, we saw these Kenyans were cooking for themselves out there. So you can imagine this person wants to go to training, but they remember I have to come back early for me to cook for myself supper. Yet when we see some of the CSS go abroad, we hear some of them even carry around their chef. So it comes down to the mismanagement of funds, how this team is mismanaged, and it also narrows down to the numbers, the delegation that we carry to these events. You find that the team has only very few people, and also the government focuses on taking more officials than taking more team members. I think if the management of these athletes was done in a more professional way, maybe we would go back to where we were. And again, we've always seen when these Kenyans come back from winning, nobody's at the airport to receive them. But if one CS leaves the country or even one MCA, we find delegations in the airport waiting to receive these politicians back. But it's not the same for those people who do well for Kenya. Then again, we have demoralized them by the fact that they know if they win 5 million, 2 million is going to go with the government. So some of these people feel like, you know, even if I get whatever I'm going to get, I have to share with my government. And it's a wrong story that we have to look at, and we have to deliberate and understand. Do we really want to continue victimizing people for their talents in the name of taxes, in the name of international award? What are we doing for our Kenyan-based athletes? We have people who have gone out for this country for long. What have we done for them? Some of them are in the forces, some of them are in the Kenya Police Force. Do we give them awards? When these awards of HSC come, EGH, do we really look into these athletes, or we just look into the politicians who we can award and raise their names high?
Okay.
Yeah.
Bwana Kiruga, the Daily Nation has done a piece on the talent drain. It also features on the front page. They say Kenyan-born stars who are chasing Olympic glory for adopted nations. One of them is Winfred Yavi, who won the women's steeplechase, where Kenya only managed to get bronze. We are looking forward to the marathon races, the longer races this weekend, but it would appear that the lineups in the marathons have a lot of Kenyans in them, only that most of those Kenyans are not running for their mother country, they're running for other nations. Are you concerned that this trend could be disadvantaging Kenya in a very big way?
Yeah, of course, as a patriotic Kenyan, of course, one has to be very concerned. But then again, we need to get our facts right. This government no longer taxes athletes' income. They don't. And if you noted, the current government have gone out of its way. We may not have gotten things perfectly, but the current government have gone out of its way to really incentivize, you know, our athletes. And you see, things are changing. And I tend to believe with the appointment of Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, who is a sports person, to this crucial docket, and knowing also that Honorable Murkomen is a lawyer of great repute, and he's a very, very determined government official. You know, I've worked with Mheshimiwa Murkomen even since the campaign days. He's a person I know in person, and he's one of those very determined characters. You give him any job, he really wants to succeed on it. So I believe the job is well cut out for him, especially this talent drain, as you are putting it. We need our athletes to know that participating in these other championships, you know, for our country, can be paying as well as for those other countries that are adopting them, because that is where we have to really score. And if the minister gets it right on that one, I believe we shall see a medal haul. And in fact, I want to take this opportunity to really congratulate our athletes. Well done. Whatever have happened. Where we have slipped, it's okay. But then again, if you fail today, it is an opportunity for you to do better tomorrow. So we wish
that is what has affected the performance of Team Kenya this
Of course, that one, you know, facts are facts. And things have not been very light in the past. We've seen teams being selected in boardrooms rather than in the field. And also, we've seen when teams are traveling, you know, people who are not playing, they get better treatment than our athletes or our teams. That has to stop. And I believe, in fact, especially in the former governments, that has been really taking place. But with the current government, yes, I'm saying this because
talking about the Olympics this year going on currently.
Yeah, he wants to say
no, you know, you compare even with other instances. No, don't say no. If you want to see far ahead,
But it's
you are
2 years
told,
after Uhuru's regime. How do you want to blame
relax,
it again?
Relax. You'll prosecute your case, I'm prosecuting mine. What I'm saying is, if you want to see far ahead, you look back to where you have come from so that those mistakes you have done in the past, you avoid making them in the future. So what we are saying is this. You know, even in our manifesto, our party's UDA party manifesto, the issue of promoting sports and the sports persons' welfare, the sportsmen and sportswomen welfare, it's well captured in our manifesto. And so I believe, and I have no doubt, as you say, it may be a bit late for this one, but you know, we say the last minute can save a man. So we still hope the government can do something. Once Mheshimiwa Murkomen is sworn in this morning, we hope he will do something to inspire our team that is already in the Olympics. But that notwithstanding, we look forward to getting things done well in future competitions.
Okay. Of course, we do expect a number of events where Kenyans are represented today. The finals of the men's javelin, where Julius Yego will be taking part, and at least there's hope of a medal. Other races to look forward to today as the 1500 meters semi-final heats 1 and 2, where Faith Kipyegon and Susan Ejore will be taking part as well. So yes, there's still hope for more medals, but there are serious concerns about the talent drain, with many Kenyans now running for other nations and getting gold medals for them. Let's come back and now take a look at the big story of the day. Nane Nane is here. The anticipated protests. A number of roadblocks have been erected on major roads leading into the city this morning. The US has already warned the government, and this features on the front page of the Standard. We are watching you. US warns Ruto on demos and police brutality. This is a top US official has condemned the state's violent suppression of youth-led protests, challenging President William Ruto to match his commitment against rogue officers with action. This is Uzra Zeya, who is speaking from Washington, and saying that Washington is vigilant about Kenya's developing affairs. Meanwhile, and this is still on the front page of the Standard, civil servants have been put on notice. They're told, one, government has warned public workers not to add fire to the demos by display of opulence, as it also cautioned them not to participate in the same. However, Gen Z youth say their march is still on. The president spoke about this yesterday, and he said there's no time for demonstrations going forward. It's been a while since the last time we saw people on the streets. Do you expect that this time the numbers will be bigger? It would appear that that agitation has lost steam to a great extent.
First of all, I want to say that, you see, it's now a tradition in Kenya whereby now the state is warning its workers against public demonstrations. And you see, if there's somebody who is feeling the heat of this regime, it's anybody who gets salary from the government. Anytime the government delays salary, it's them who is affected. Anytime that the government is doing messes left, right, and center, they are the one who do most of this work. So we are entirely saying that they have been failing in their jobs. And this is trickling down to county governments. The other day we saw Nyandarua County where our county workers had demonstrations, and the governor there and the county secretary are writing letters to county workers of, if you participate in demonstrations, we are going to show, you are going to be given show causes letters, you are going to be disciplined. And it begs the question, is a government employee not a Kenyan? It also begs the question, is there a law that says that a government employee should not participate in elections, in demonstration? And we are bringing down these to, it's now becoming a slavery to work for this regime, because they want you to take in whatever they want you to take in. Without you asking questions, you should not ask questions. Yours is just to follow the lead. And it's very worrying that the president still thinks that these demonstrations are about destructive demonstrations. I've heard you say that Bwana today will not be with us in the studio. And I had to laugh because, you know, in the Kenyan political arena, we call it kupanga kazi. And next Thursday, because I'm sure he's going to be here, we will need to ask him why he was out burning midnight oil on a night before Nane Nane. let's be honest, is not being sworn in. So Bwana Lai, tafadhali, when you come back, you will have to tell us if now DM is participating with this regime, kupanga kazi against the demonstrators who are today going to be on the roads, to give a message that a broad-based government is not a solution to our problems, because if we have to teach the likes of the incoming CS Opio the manifesto ya mtu wa chini, it will take us almost 1 year. So you have derailed the process of us progressing. So the broad-based government, what the youths are trying to say is, it's not what we are looking for. We are not looking for positions for people in ODM. We are not looking for positions for some few people to get employed. We are not looking for some people to get fired, for you to replace them with other old people in this regime, because it's clear no youth came in apart from the one CS of, I think it's environment?
I think water.
Water CS. And it's very sad because the government thinks it's a play game of today we are in Maandamano, you bring in police, you kill some few people, you bring goons in to infiltrate, then Kina Kiroga are going to argue with us that, you know, those Maandamano were out to make the destructions. And it's going to be a long day today. And I really hope any youth who is out there to go for Maandamano, I am really asking and really pleading that let us maintain our tradition of very peaceful Maandamano. Let us maintain the tradition of telling this government, we don't want you to continue killing us for speaking out what we feel that you as a regime have not done. The cost of living is still very high. Jobs are still not available for the young people. And we have not yet seen any change in opulence in government officials and government cabinet officials. So we are really asking that if the president feels that today is the day when you are going to prove to the world that you have refused to allow Kenyans stand up for their rights and do what they feel should be done at this time, the floor is yours. But if you feel you are going to be a statesman and allow Kenyans demonstrate and you listen, because you thought we were out here to play political games, you went and brought in your enemies. But Kenyans are telling you today, if they go on the roads, that is not what they expected of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bwana Kiruga Dhuku, my main issue now is this warning from the public service. One, that public officers should not add fuel to the fire by display of opulence. And the other one is warning public servants against taking part in the demonstrations in any way, including social media. Now, on the issue of public opulence, it means that this is a recognition and an acknowledgement from the government itself that some of its officers have been rather displaying opulence publicly, and that could have fueled the protests. Do you agree with that?
Of course, to a certain extent, it could have been happening. But then again, Fred, we don't have to destroy our country for whatever reason. My younger sister here should be well informed. You know, when she says Gen Zs, some of the Gen Zs are taking part in the protests because they don't have jobs, which is very much understandable. But then again, when we have protests, look at what the president, even the government have been saying. You know, and all of us can see, there is a difference between peaceful protests, as was done by the Gen Zs in the first few days of the protests, and there is a totally different angle and aspect whereby people go out to destroy, loot, you know, burn property, like happened in Nyeri. The MP for Kenny, he had a supermarket in Nyeri town, another in Nanyuki. Both were burnt down. In the process, about 300 Gen Zs today lost their jobs. So, and that is why every sober person has taken the opportunity to urge and to say, fine, you have all the right to demonstrate as you wish, it's your constitutional right. But then again, we come in and we want to share conventional wisdom with our young people. Look, I can give a very good example. You know, in Agora, we had a leader called Jonas Savibi. Jonas Savibi was in the liberation movement under UNITA, a party called UNITA in Agora. They fought, they won independence. Somehow, Jonas Savibi continued fighting. At one time, he even became a vice president, but he could not settle down and take up the leadership roles that were being offered to him. So he continued fighting until eventually, after very many years of civil war, he was killed. Very unfortunate. When he was killed, the civil service ended. So that's why we are saying the Gen Z, they did a very good work. They opposed, the new Gen Zs opposed finance bill because, you know, people are mixing up issues. The Gen Zs, you know, theirs was not even much about the cabinet. And I wish to also remind my younger sister here. In politics, you know, you might be political opponents, but that does not mean you are enemies. And this country is greater than all of us. People should get that very clearly. And that is why, you know, I'm surprised. My sister here says, Honorable Pio Wadai will be taught anything. This man has been a member of parliament for the longest time. I think she was even a child when Honorable Pio Wadai became a member of parliament. So the issue is this. The constitution and our rules must be followed by all of us, whether we are in government or whether we are on opposition or where we are demonstrating.
Speaking about the constitution, do you agree with this directive by the PS of Public Service directing public workers or members of the public service not to take part in the demonstration?
In fact, it is the rule.
Because according to Article 37 of the Constitution, it says every person
every
has a
Kenyan.
right.
Yes,
has a
but
right to peaceably demonstrate and picket.
Yes, but again, our rules are also state very clearly. If you are a civil servant, you are not supposed to take part in active political.
This is not political.
No, it is political.
It's not political.
And the issue is this: if civil servants have grievances, if they want to demonstrate, there are laws governing, you know, their operations. They should give notice to the government.
The use of social media, because
here, you see,
this PS has quoted people who even work in parliament.
Exactly, because the thing is this: for example, that infiltration in parliament, you know, there could even have been an inside job, which is very dangerous. So the thing is this, Fred: when you are a civil servant, no government on earth will allow you. The government is paying you, and you are actively taking part in destabilizing the same government. That is why the PS, and he is likely put, that is likely so. If you want to take part in demonstrations, and you are supposed to be serving Kenyans, in fact, where are you getting that time to, when you're supposed to, you are the one failing Kenyans, you are the one failing the government. So, you either, you have the option of resigning, go and organize demonstrations and go and take part in those, you know, those other activities. But for now, the government wants the discipline of everyone, including us who are members, you know, elected by the people. We should be serious in serving the population in this country.
Okay.
Fred, you see, it's very unfortunate that, honestly, member for Chinga, I am so disappointed in you that you are one of the people who voted for the Constitution. And probably when you are voting for the Constitution, I was maybe 7 to 10 years old. But I can tell you this for a fact, because if you read that Constitution, it clearly states, there is nowhere that they say that a public servant should not go to demonstration. And again, what is political about the cost of living? What is political about Kenyans saying the cost of living is too much? The budget that the burden that you are giving to Kenyans is too much for government officials to be flying left, right, and center with private choppers, you know? We are simply asking the Kenyan government, stop making it look as if working for the government is slavery. The Constitution does not anywhere say that a public servant should first resign for them to go to demonstration. And there is nothing political about this demonstration. If they were political, Baba would be on the streets today telling us to go to Maandamano. These Maandamano are very organic, they're not political. It's nothing about politics. That is why we are shocked that the president, after people demonstrating, saw it right to politically reward ODM party with some 4 cabinet seats. And you see, the political aspect of this demonstration has been pushed by the Kenya Kwanza regime. Because the moment you bring in 4 ODM people, after we have demonstrated, it clearly says that your interpretation was this thing is political. And you forget, ODM was not anywhere close to our initial maandamano. They were even nowhere along the maandamano. They were only there in the maandamano that happened last year, 2023. And I need to tell Member for Chinga that you cannot be comparing Kenya with Angola when it comes to matters demonstration. You compare us with South Sudan. He's now almost telling us to compare us with Congo. But when you want us to treat politicians with government official vehicles, how they should have carpets, red carpeted offices, you compare our Kenyan system with the US. When you want us to treat the president with all those kind of convoys, you want us to treat him like the US president. But when it comes to demonstrators, you want to compare us with Congo. That is wrong. And we need to be very clear. Okay. And even county governments back in Mashinani need to know that county employees are entitled to also participating in demonstration, peaceful demonstration. It's a right of every Kenyan across the board without the limitation of who is a public servant and who is in the private sector.
Okay. And Bwana Kiruga Thuku, of course, when the president co-opted ODM in his broad-based government, the hope was that that would be the remedy for the kind of agitation we had seen. But this Nane Nane, the anticipated demonstrations, means that the agitation is not over despite that coming together and the formation of a broad-based government. On the Daily Nation, they talk about Ruto-Raila deal facing litmus test. It's the same discussion on the Taifa Leo, mtihani kwa ndoa ya Ruto na Raila leo. Maandamano ya leo yatakuwa ya kwanza tangu rais ateue wandani wa Raila serikali kuu. The fact that the political class appear to have come up with a solution, many people are saying that is their own solution, a political solution to a problem that was very different. Do you agree that probably there's still a disconnect between what the agitation is pushing for and what William Ruto, the president, provided as a solution?
You see, Fred, I've told you, and we all know, that the first wave of protests, which were genuine, were about the finance bill. And that is what demonstrations was about. And the president said, I've heard. I won't send this into law. He took a memorandum back to the parliament or back to the National Assembly indicating as much. But you see, now all sorts of people joined in the demonstrations, because I believe you also say Miguna is demonstrating from Canada. So, with various intentions, people who even wanted to bring the government down became demonstrators. And that's why we are saying, Fred, there cannot be this shifting of goals every other day.
So you don't believe the demonstrations today are justified at all?
No, you know the law is very clear. If you want to demonstrate, fine, follow the law.
But you see,
notify the police, demonstrate. But the issue is this. You know you cannot demonstrate against the president because you have chosen the cabinet. And that is why I have, in my last comment, I have said we have to follow the law, we have to follow the constitution. As long as the president has followed the law in the creation of the new cabinet. And the law is very clear. The prerogative for forming the president, once the president wins a presidential election in this country, and that is the history, from Mzee Jomo Kenyatta to President Moi, to Mzee Mwai Kibaki, to His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, there has never been any question about who forms the government after winning the presidential vote. So, unless, and we have courts, we have other avenues, if someone feels the president has not formed the right government, you follow the law. But the thing is this, the constitution of this country gives the president, gives the security organs, things are in clear language, the role of saving this country. So,
for clarity's sake, do you feel that it may be provided for in the constitution, the right to protest, but do you feel that the demonstrations today have any justification whatsoever?
I don't feel there is any justification, and especially to the extent that these demonstrations are turning very violent. It's such a put-off for investors. It's such a put-off for everyone. You know, demonstrations are not meant to destroy a country, and that is a CSS. That's that. Some of those young people, I've seen them on TV demonstrating or even talking. They come across as very reasonable young people. And that's why we are urging them. It's always good to take a step back, you know, and savour the past wins. But you know, you just don't go charging like a bull. You know, you want to charge, you want to destroy. No. You'll be lost.
There are concerns about the sustainability of this and the justification of the same, because yes, as he argues, the president has given concessions, and he has done so publicly to a huge extent, including dissolving his cabinet and reconstituting it. The issue of justification of why the youth are going to the streets, especially today, probably that's the problem we're having, the clarity of it.
You see, we need to be very honest. The president has not really addressed our concerns. He has just been playing mockery games. Because tell me why you tell us today you have dissolved your cabinet, then 1 week later, you reinstate back the same cabinet almost over 50%. You understand? Then you want to tell us, simply because you have taken one from this ministry to the other ministry, you want to tell us that is what you meant by dissolving and bringing in new faces. Then again, you dissolve, and the people that you fire, we expect you to replace them with the young people who can bring in the youth face in that cabinet. Then you go bring us 60-year-olds, people who have done politics all their life, who have been 4 terms MPs, 2 terms governors, and you want to bring them now into cabinet? People who are talking of a whole cabinet had a net worth of more than 10 billion. You want to give them budget? Kiroga wewe ngoja. Relax, bwana. You see, what we are saying...
moderator here.
No, listen, Kiroga, you have to be very honest.
He has not even interrupted.
He's raising his hand and he's disrupting me. You see, when you tell us of a cabinet that had a net worth of over 10 billion, you are telling us of a CS who 1 year ago was vetted with this amount of money as his net worth. Then 1 year later, he has an increment of 100 to 200 million. Their salary, have they not been paying bills? They'll talk of investment growing in worth, but hey, we are also in business. It's not like that, you know. And again, the president did the worst thing. He specifically went to ODM. So Kenyans are wondering, were people killed? Did we lose over 20 lives? Did we have so many people injured in hospitals for Baba to be rewarded? Did we lose so many lives for us to have a nusu mkate regime? Something that the president himself has been on record saying that he will never bring a nusu mkate regime. You have listened to Kiroga talk about, you know, these demonstrations initially were very good. We were with you here the first day of Maandamano. He was still against it. The first day of Maandamano, he was still against it. But now today he wants to tell us that the excuse of why today is not, we are not supposed to hold Maandamano is because initially they were very peaceful. Even on the day that Maandamano were extremely peaceful, they still sent police to come and harass demonstrators. So they have been bringing in police. At a point, they have even brought in KDF illegally, and then the next day they backdated the officiating of the KDF being on the roads. And they still want Kenyans to be okay with it. And let us not talk about the sustainability of the energy. Even if somebody on their knees today told you, you are oppressing me, and tomorrow they said it when they are sleeping with their stomach on the floor, does not change the fact that they are crying for help. Yes. So we don't need to bring out the issue of the energy. The energy of somebody, even if I told you you are doing well with 100% energy and you're not doing well, it does not bring any change. Okay. And Kiroga needs to understand that nothing is political about this. And the use of social media for public servants, you are curtailing their freedom of expression. And we need to look into this, because you don't expect them to follow the law when you are the one who is getting agitation from Kenyans, and you expect them to still follow the law even when it's them who are telling you this through their social medias.
Friend, you know, this serious national TV. And, you know, we need to put things in a very right perspective because we don't come here to make our own interpretations of very serious rules. I want to quote the Constitution. You know, the good thing is that now we have the Constitution even on our phones, and I want to quote directly. I don't want to put in my own words. Article 27(4) of our Constitution states that the state shall not discriminate directly or indirectly against any person on any grounds, including race, sex, pregnancy, marital status, health status, ethnic or social origin, color, age, disability, and you have to take a note of age, disability, religion, conscience, belief, culture, dress, language, all birth. You know, when we talk, we should base whatever we are fighting for on our rules. If you come here and tell us that people who are in their 60s have been appointed into the cabinet, quote the law that prohibits the president from doing that.
It is the president himself who talked about not including people.
He forgot that.
But in what context? You see, we know one thing. As a civil servant, the age for civil servants to retire in this republic is 60 years. But on governance, that is why you have...
But the president did not put that exemption when he was saying that.
You know, you have to learn also to talk and allow the other person
but
to
you're lying on
finish.
national...
No. You have to talk and you allow the other people to talk. We are keeping quiet when you are talking. So what I'm saying, Fred, is this. That is why the Right Honorable Raila Odinga can actually vie for presidency when he is almost 80. That's why His Excellency Mwai Kibaki became the president of Kenya well over 70. Because when we talk of civil servants and this other leadership, political leadership, those are two different things, the public leadership and this one. So we are saying as long as the president have broken no law, he includes age, experience with someone as young as now our CS Water. That is why, friend, we might end up, basing our action on long interpretations of our rules. There is no...
Do you believe that statement by the president could have been a bit misleading, that probably it misled the youth into expecting that his cabinet would be made up of younger people? And now that he has named people older than 60, hence the disagreement?
It wasn't misleading in the least way possible. It is just that, Could it
have misled the youth?
No.
Maybe the youth were wrong in their understanding of what the president
because,
said.
in this country, one problem we have people making all manner of interpretation and misinterpretations on almost everything. For example, there is nowhere I have seen major misinterpretations like in the field of politics, friend. The president says this today, it is twisted and twisted. The other politician says this today, it is twisted and twisted. I think it's the way of our politicians. But as my bishop in Nyeri normally says, my Archbishop Anthony Muheria, we need to sanitize our politics. We need to sanitize the way we do our politics. And the issue is, and I will continue saying this, Fred, me in the past I've taken part in these street demonstrations, peaceful street demonstrations. And there is no one who will tell people not to do peaceful demonstrations. With me, I will always support that, Fred. But when reality points us to a different direction, because when we destroy people's property, when we render even the youth who have jobs, we render them jobless through destroying the businesses where they work, I can never support something like that. And you see, even I have heard you there reading about, I don't know which country, saying, I don't know, we are watching you. They should watch themselves first. We saw what happened in Libya with the support of some of these people. they are friends, but they should realize some things should not be done to destroy countries. Libya, people supported that. The international, so-called international community supported what was going on there. Today, even the international community cannot help the Libyan people to form a cohesive government. We must avoid taking Kenya to that route.
Okay. Do you agree that this dalliance between ODM and the ruling coalition, that it changes the matrix, it changes the equation for the demonstrations today? That's why the Daily Nation is talking about a litmus test for that. The naming of members of ODM in the cabinet, does it tilt the scales in the government's direction?
You see, it would have tilted if at all they are the one who were on the streets demonstrating. But it's not them who were on the roads demonstrating, it was the young people. And the reason why the young people went to the streets, they didn't go on the streets for people to be given cabinet slots. They didn't go on the streets for politicians who in a long time have been at wars at each other, have been throwing words at each other, have been saying that, you know, we are the one in power, you people should be keeping us in check, you should. It cannot come to Kenyans now saying now that some 4 people from ODM have gotten these slots, now we are okay, the cost of living now is okay. No. A CS from ODM does not stop UNGA from being at the cost that it is at right now. A CS from ODM does not stop capitation to schools not being availed. A CS from ODM does not stop any other thing that was being agitated about by Kenyans. What we are talking about is they saw it from a political angle, but in reality, it's going to hit them come 2027, or between right now and 2027, it's going to hit them that even bringing in these people was not anything that would have helped us calm down the situation in the country. In fact, it has fueled more anger because now Kenyans are wondering, is this why Baba has always been on the streets? Akipewa mkate nusu kidogo, he's now already talking about a broad-based government. The ODM right now are very quiet. You have listened to Robert Alai, Mheshimiwa Kilileshwa, several tell you that it's time because, you know, we have been on the streets for a long time. Now it's time for us to also come into the government and bring in our expertise. No, it does not work like that. Okay. Because at the end of the day, even if you bring in expertise and you are still beyond the age, which the president himself on a very sober day, and we are very lucky that we have a president we can't accuse of alcoholism. He's one of the very people who we can talk about of him not being part of alcoholism. So when he comes on TV and tells us that, you know what, no government official should be beyond this age, then he goes 1 week later, 2 weeks later, and brings us appointment. And they go through parliament. And not even my member of parliament, Ndaragwa, asked the committee to ask those people who are being vetted. The president said, you are past this age. Do you think we are supposed to take you through? They still rubber stamped without asking those questions. That is why I told you that the parliament is an extension of the executive.
And we'll come there to discuss the issue of the vetting and of the cabinet nominees. But before that, Bonathugu, this working relationship between ODM and the ruling coalition, some have called it a rescue mission. In fact, one of the cartoons today talks about ODM rescue team, that they've come to rescue the president. Some even said that the president was on his knees asking to be rescued. And the problem was the agitation on the streets. And then ODM came in to rescue. Do you agree with that narrative? And do you feel that this working relationship will or has dimmed the kind of agitation that we had seen before and probably today will be much lower?
Yeah, I don't agree. You know, friends, some of us have the privilege of knowing the president in person. And some of us, personally, I started supporting the president even before he knew me. And I think by then he was a minister, and I just admired the way he could click in any ministry. By the time he became a deputy president, with me, I supported him all the years of his vice presidency. That is why it was even almost natural that when things went haywire between the current president and the former president, President Uhuru. With me, I stuck with the then deputy president. And there is something very admirable about the president, putting the nation first. If you remember...
So it was not a rescue mission?
It is not. If you remember...
Then what was the necessity of bringing out
credit? He announced to the nation and to the world, even before he left Kasarani, in his maiden speech as the president, that President Uhuru Kenyatta was being seconded to various peace missions in the region, and that was such a magnanimous gesture from the president. Then again, before long, even before there were any squabbles, the president and the government declared themselves on the issue of the candidacy of the right honorable Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. And the president made it very clear, him and the government were supporting Honorable Raila's candidacy as the issue chair, and they have never looked back. That time, there was no crisis, there was no anything. In fact, people whom you would have expected to defend President Uhuru were the ones fighting him. People whom you would have expected, maybe to be supporting Raila's candidacy were the ones against. But the president took a very reconciliatory approach from his first minute as the president of Kenya. So, when these other issues arose, I think they just gave the president the chance to do what he have been desiring for long, bringing the country together. Because, look here, my brother.
He would not work in that kind of manner with the opposition.
But look, in the past, such allegements were being done to suppress some sections of Kenyans. But what the president currently is doing is look at our current Minister of Finance. Look at someone like Honorable Pio. These are highly experienced people. Look at even a person like Honorable Joho. Honorable Joho, in fact, he offers very valuable lessons to our young people that you can come from a very disadvantaged background. You can come from a background where you almost failed in your academics, but through hard work, persistence, and determination, you go up there and you can become anything you want in this world. He's a great lesson to people. So, what was prevailing back then and what you are fighting back then.
Because I keep asking you, some of the statements the president makes, he's judged based on them. The fact that he is on record saying he cannot and will never get into that kind of working arrangement with the other side of the political divide. Yet, months later, and the question is, what was the necessity of this working arrangement? ODM seems to say it was a rescue mission.
No,
what was it?
It is not a rescue mission.
From your end, what was it?
It is not. It's not a rescue mission.
Will never
to me, and the reality is, when we bring people together, right? Because, there has been this misconception that once you win an election in this country, wale watu wako pande ile, wakae nje, that kind of an arrangement. That's what we are against. And then again, the late Mzee John Mishuki, may God continue resting his soul in eternal peace. There is a great statement, and it holds true, that when you are politics, it's like when you are holding a liver. When you hold a liver, you cannot hold it for too long, you have to keep juggling. And you see, when you are doing something in the best interest of a nation, I'm telling you, back then, when the handshake came, it was suppressing subsection of Kenyans. But currently, the arrangement we have, it is to have every sector, everyone in the nation to feel included in the current
and not
government.
just ODM.
Yes.
Yeah, but it would appear it's only ODM.
Alfred Mutua is not ODM.
Let's take a break now. Let's take a break. You're watching Morning Cafe. When we come back, we take a look at a very interesting angle to all this. The fact that Fred Matiang'i now features on the front pages, and they talk about the possibility of him being a presidential candidate come 2027. What do you think about that? That after the break.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you?
Number 1. He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. The State of the Nation on Morning Cafe here at TV47 with me, Freddy Ndimuli. I'm still in studio with Njeri Kahiga and Kiruga Dhuku, our panelists this morning. And I just want to bring to your attention this piece of news that is featured on the front page of the gazeti la Taifa Leo. Wanasema pale juu, Matiang'i aanza mbio kujiandaa kwa ikulu mwaka 2027. Waziri wa zamani ametiwa moyo na rai za vijana wa Gen Z wanaomtaka awanie urais uchaguzini 2027. There was that sentiment, especially on social media during the initial part of the protest, that yes, many people saying Matiang'i for president, Matiang'i for president. Up until now, that discussion about a possible alternative presidential candidate for 2027 has been very quiet. But this is the first time we're seeing that there could be a possibility of another presidential candidate. And the story is also on the Daily Nation. And it says the former Interior CS has laid the ground to run for the country's top seat in 2027. He has recruited a globally recognized firm to lobby for his prospects as a 6th president of Kenya. Now, this was a suggestion by the young people. How do you feel about the prospect of him as a candidate?
You see, every young person is entitled to their opinion about who they feel would bring in changes in this government. And personally, I am a candidate of Matiang'i for my KCSE, and I have to give him a thumbs up because that man streamlined national examination in this country. And his policies in education brought out another different aspect of what a CS education would be. And you have seen, even after the CS Machogu and the other one who came after him and the one who has been recently, they all were being compared to Matiang'i because Kenyans, both students and parents, felt when Matiang'i was CS education, a lot of things were streamlined in the education. The policies, how he handled the strikes, you can see in this is Daily Nation, page 5. Teachers' unions in rare unity as they issue TSC fresh, strike ahead. And you see, during Matiang'i's time, a lot in the education sector moved seamlessly. The pipeline was not clogged up as it is right now. Right now, you've listened to agitation from parents where in the morning, the results for a candidate in the morning were 380. In the evening, the candidate has 430, and now we are wondering which results do we use, the morning one or the afternoon one? And for me, Matiang'i as a politician is not my cup of tea, because I feel like he has been nowhere during the demonstrations. He has never even come out to say, you know what, I'm in support. He has never even tweeted or even wrote a Facebook post and said, I'm in support. He has never brought out a leader and a politician who wants to show support, moral support, not necessarily to even fund, just to tell Kenyans whatever you are saying is right, your agitation is proper, you just need to channel it in the right way, or even to tell Kenyans, the maandamano today was not so peaceful, can we try do it next time in a better way? So I feel for him as a policy maker, he makes a very good president. But again, we remember, a president of a nation comes into many courts. You have to be a good, to be good in listening to policies and what your CSAs really want to do and maybe approve them. But you have also to be one person who can be felt. You know, there is that charisma amongst Kenyans. You have to have that charisma that when you tell Kenyans this is the way they feel, if Fred is telling us this is the way, probably this is the way. So I feel for him, he has scored well. His scorecard in matters, policies and everything else as a cabinet secretary, we are very at a higher percentage. But again, him as a leader, him as a political leader in this country, the charisma maybe is not necessarily there. Okay. And maybe the students who, because most of the Gen Zs are candidates of Matiang'i, and that time they felt if Matiang'i would streamline Kenyan politics like he did to our national examination, this nation would move forward. But again, to his campaign team, because of course I know they follow a lot these TVs, maybe they should just work on him being seen more actively in the Kenyan political platforms.
And whatever he has done is very initial stages of just even trying to see the prospects. He's not even declared his candidature. He's just hired a consultancy.
He has a chance
to see whether or not it could be possible. But the fact that this is a direct byproduct of this recent agitation, that before the Gen Z movement and protest, no one was talking about the possibility of him being president. But the fact that now with the protests and according to Gazeti la Taifa Leo, amepewa the push by the Gen Z movement. What do you feel about his prospects? I know you do not necessarily, you've already declared your position
yes,
as presidential candidate, but the fact that this is a byproduct of the demonstrations.
I don't think it's a byproduct of the demonstrations. Those mamas have always been there, and I think even he himself, you know every politician or every leader, you know, every leader has a positive ambition about the future. So he must have that. But what I would say, you know, as you say, he have not declared his candidature. If he does, you meet there. We will, of course, bring out why we think he may not be a good candidate like our candidate. And then Kenyans will decide, because of course we can, if we remember the things that used to take place during his line, tunaweza kosoa hapa na pale. Najua unasema ni Taifa Leo imesema hiyo maneno. Kwa hivyo tutagojea, because you know we may put a lot of effort into arguing about the matter, then he ends up not vying. Okay. So, but the only thing I would say, if he is vying, whether he is vying or not, I just hope he will not be used or misused to destabilize the current government, because you know...
By his vying for president?
Of course, you know the people, you know, for example, friend, if you are looking for a job to become anchors here, I may come and start an nefarious campaign against you, you know, here and there. For example, now that you're already there and I'm eyeing your post, I come here, I start interfering with your job the way you do it. I come here, I can occasion even you are being late, you know, maybe you don't know. So the thing is this, friends, anyone is free. You know, we have had so many candidates in the past, you know, and they don't end up making much, much headway. So what, as a person, I would request, and what is even good for this country, it's fine and it's proper for everyone to have a presidential ambitions, but because we don't have any elections currently, the best thing would be to let the government do its work, and that is what we have been calling for. Let the government work. If we are not satisfied, or if someone is not satisfied with the way the government will have worked until 2027, of course, when we go to the polls, you express your will peacefully at the ballot.
Okay. I want us to focus on the other big story of the day, and it's the swearing in of the cabinets. They were appointed officially yesterday, 19 of them, through a gazette notice by the president. The swearing in happens in about an hour or so at State House, Nairobi. The People Daily has gone with the headline on the front page, public views were hot air in vetting. And the Standard says, cabinet to hit road after rubber stamp, meaning that there are still questions about the vetting process in the National Assembly. What are your sentiments about this, Njeri? The vetting process of cabinet nominees, you've watched, and it generated some. I remember the last time you were here was the very first day that the vetting was started, last Thursday. You've watched the process. Do you feel it was consequential? Do you feel it was a rubber stamp, as the Standard says, and the fact that public views may not have been taken into account?
Personally, I just feel that, of course, public opinions were not put into account, because if they were put into account, therefore, ODM cabinet secretaries would not have gone through, because Kenyans were mad by the fact that the president took this chance to politically reward one political party. And I felt that the vetting was just a rubber stamping, just like the papers have said. And it was a platform for these nominees to whip emotions and, tell us, I got a D-. Right now I'm worth 2.4 billion. What are you telling us? 2.4 billion, yes. What? Can you properly explain to us how you got to 2.4 billion? Because we have had people who have worked their whole life and they are still not even into a billion. You can talk of businesses, but we all know what happens. The good thing about TV interviews and the political space is that we know, you can always listen to my member for Chinga tell you that, this one is not even allowed in a media station because we cannot even say it in public. But behind the scenes, we know what happens with these politicians. The moment you come into the public and tell us that this is your net worth, but when you look down your history, it's not the same. You are telling Kenyans that, you can be a D- student and still get up there and make billions. But again, Kenyans will look at it and say, he's trying to motivate. But let's be honest. What can Joho really bring into the mining industry, into the blue economy? Some things go down into expertise. Being a good politician, being voted once, twice, or thrice does not mean you are good in governance. It simply means you are either good in getting the votes, or you are a good politician who can be able to convince people to let us try again. And we cannot allow the fact that some of these people really tried when they were MPs and governors. But again, what Kenyans we are looking for is not you bringing in some people for them to get positions. Kenyans we are looking at, can we see a serious face? Can we see a serious face of cabinet appointment? Then again, parliament. I listened to that vetting and I was like, oh, wow.
But the committee has rejected at least one of the nominees.
Let's be honest. You think that was not, in politics, some of these things are not mistakes, And why is it that...
You're suggesting it was stage managed.
Of course, that is stage managed. Tuangushe moja ndio waone we vetted. If wangeangusha Joho, we would have looked at it from a different angle. Because the lady who was dropped, if we look at her life in the public eye, either she has been in any case legally, she has been somewhere in scandals, she's not such of a big name. And surprisingly, she's the one who went down. Maybe she was told you will be appointed one of these days. You get the glory, then kidogo tutakupanga and you may attend, because that is what happens. Because you've even had people say that the CS who are fired are not even complaining because they know they are sorted.
Okay.
And we need to be very honest. That vetting was not in consideration with the public opinions. Don't even think that they even went through social media and understood what Kenyans felt about those nominees.
Okay.
Thank you, friend. You know, I think this country, it's a country of conspiracy theories. You know, we want to put conspiracy upon conspiracy upon conspiracy. The thing is this, friend. As we talk, you know, one of the grounds for rejection of most of those memorandums were the insults that were contained there. And that's why we keep saying, even if you are opposed to something, use courteous language. Courtesy, courtesy, courtesy never hurts, friend. You know, even the way now we can come here, you keep mentioning people's names negatively. You keep mentioning someone who have been elected by the population, yeah, for 2 terms as their governor.
Does that make
you
sense?
have not even been elected as a Catholic chairman, and you are here telling people, you are here bad-mouthing someone who has been elected a governor twice. He has been a member of parliament. You see, we should stop this kind of attacks. We should get very serious. You know, I'm saying, and I have been repeating here, we are not in a jungle. We don't operate on jungle rules. We operate under laws, under a constitution. And it is this constitution that gives the president, unless you have any other way of doing it, the rules give the president the prerogative to bring together a government. And you see, Fred, these nominees, in fact, even the one who was rejected, if I had a vote, I would have voted to rescue her. Because someone may come, it's just like we say, you cannot use one test to gauge the suitability of a person, even of a student. You cannot say, because a student, a child, has failed in one exam, KCPE or KCSE, you want to use that to judge an innocent soul as a failure for the rest of their life. No, it cannot be that way. You know, one day, Fred, I was in a meeting of President Kibaki. I've always told you, you know, my political compass revolves around that man because he's my greatest role model in this world. Now we are in this meeting, and you know, Mzee, in his usual very cool manner, says in Kiswahili, hii siasa ya kwenda ukitajataja majina ya watu ni siasa shafu ya utoto. You know that I'm quoting verbatim the people. I can even bring witnesses. So I'm not trying to attack anyone here. So the thing is, and I think even the Bible is clear on this, when it says, do unto others the way you would rather they do unto you.
What do you say about the sentiments that even the rejection may have been staged just to give?
No, those are the conspiracy theories I'm telling you about. You can see even this thing we keep hearing. Oh, I don't know, their wealth have increased, I don't know how. You see, friend, you know, most of these nominees' wealth is in assets. And over the time, assets improve in value. I'm not defending anyone here because they have they can defend themselves even in a better way. But at the end of the day, we raise matters that cannot even pass through the regular scrutiny. And this thing about saying, oh, it was state managed, I don't know what. And the people saying that, you ask someone, did you write a memorandum to oppose the nomination of that person? No. And the thing is this, you know, we are also involved in vetting at the county assembly, at the county assembly level. And with me, I have one mantra, my modus operandi. Friend, if you come before me for vetting for any position that legally you are coming before me for vetting, unless it is very, very and extremely necessary that I give a negative verdict on your vetting, I always say, imagine you are the one who who is sitting on that other side. Fred, also, can you use the same yardstick on others as you would want it on you?
Is it that the rubber stamp reference that people are saying?
There is nothing about rubber stamp. You see, friend, you cannot stand between people and their destiny on flimsy grounds. No.
That's the point of vetting.
No, yes. But do you want someone to be failed without any reason? Do we? Because just because.
So why would they pass?
Just because we are saying we are vetting. So we would expect that Parliament was supposed to come and say we have failed 10 people, just so that we are not told we are rubber stamping people.
Was it necessary to reject the nominee, the one nominee who was rejected?
With me, I have said, in my opinion, because you know that was their work, and the law gives them, you know, they acted according to the law. But from where I start, from the way I saw the nominee when she was presenting, it was, if I had a vote, I would have voted to pass her.
Okay.
You see, Fred, you need to give me a right to reply to Member for Chinga. I've heard him say that, you know, I should not be name-calling and talking about like...
No, I've not mentioned anyone,
CS,
Fred.
Joho, and...
Fred, I've not mentioned anyone.
A reference was made.
Now, let me tell you, you see, he has said that, you know, people who have never been Catholic representatives should not even talk about people who have been 2 terms governor. And I want to tell you, simply because you're a 2-term member for Chinga and I have not been elected, does not mean that the viewer behind the scenes can clearly see in your opinion that you are the one who has been elected twice. You would be shocked if you asked for opinions of Kenyans and they would be asking between me and you who has been in the county assembly. But anyway, away from that, we need to be very honest. Simply because people have been 2 terms governor, 4 times MPs, does not mean they are the best for this country. There are people who are fresh from university who can take this country forward. And again, if at all you cannot come in between the destiny of vetted people, then why do we vet? Why those people are on allowances, right? That committee is on allowances. We have been paying them for them to come and you tell us that you can't come in between destiny. Matters governance haina mambo ya Mungu that you can't come in between the destiny of somebody. Destiny ya mtu, and they have 2.4 billion net worth, honestly.
Okay.
What is even our salary? Even if we pay them for the remaining 2 years, we can't, the salary of a CS for 2 years and the allowances cannot even get to quarter their net worth. So it's not about destiny.
Because of time, I want to give each one of you time for your final remarks. But I know, Bwana Dhuku, there are questions. Last time you were here, you were dashing to a very important meeting, the National Executive Committee of your party, UDA. What the results that came out of that were very grave for some people. The sacking of the acting SG of your party. What's happening in UDA now? Because we're talking about merger with ANC. One of the cartoons is talking about the possibility of ODM crossing over. What exactly is happening? As you make your final remarks.
Thank you very much. You know, friend, even when we were here last week, we were faced with a very ugly happenings at our party headquarters. One of our party members had come and declared themselves the Secretary General, and we said that is not the way it is done. We have our party structures that stipulates how it can be done, but there was also the grave issue of one of the then party officials, top officials, bringing goons to the party headquarters. The president's party had actually almost killing that party supporter who had declared himself the SG. In the process, he had very deep cuts in the head. So what happened is that members of the NEC, we reached out for one another. We were very aghast about the happening, and we agreed to meet at the headquarters. And you know, our party's constitution, Article 831, states either the SG in consultation with the chair calls meeting by notice. All 25% of the NEC members petition the chair to call for a meeting. And so more than 75% of the NEC members signed, and requested the chair to call for a meeting.
Is the deputy party leader a member of the NEC?
Even the party leader is a member of the NEC.
The deputy party leader is on record saying he did not get that notice to attend the meeting.
What happened is we had initially set the meeting for 10 a.m. last Friday, but as the membership of NEC, we felt we didn't even need the party leader and the deputy party leader. We just needed to meet as the ordinary NEC members so that whatever decision we would make, we would take them to the party leader and the deputy party leader. You know, they are...
This is a top decision-making organ.
They are, but you see now when they come in, you know you cannot be able to argue with them there, but we wanted to make a decision now as the ordinary NEC members.
Without the top officials.
Without the top officials, the two of them, so that there is no undue, people are not cowed. And you know, this is something they have been allowing from time to time. We meet regularly without they are being present. But you see, even someone lied to the deputy party leader. They lied to the deputy party leader that we went there at 5. No, that was not the case. We went there, the first person arrived there around 6:30. Okay. And by 7, about 80% of the NEC membership was there. And we passed a resolution because everyone felt we needed a change. We felt the former SG was taking us in the wrong direction. And that is how we made the decision to expel, to remove the former SG. And we brought in Honorable Omar Hassan, who has even been sanctioned by the Register of Political Parties. So that is it. We have no fight against anyone. We just felt the president's party was going in the wrong direction. And as people who are genuine friends of the president, genuine friends of the party, we had to take action to bring the party on track. Because you see, we cannot have a fighting party where people are almost being killed at the party headquarters. Mm-hmm. We cannot have a leader.
Is it normal to have a NEC meeting without the knowledge of the deputy president?
You see, the deputy party leader said he had the meeting would take place at 10 a.m. It is just that it took place earlier at 7 p.m. The meeting started at 7 to 7:30 because we anticipated some, operations from the affected official. Okay. That is why we had even to change those times. But what I'm telling you is that we normally meet under the chairmanship of our chairperson, Honorable Governor Cecily Balie, without the presence of the party leader and the deputy party leader. It have happened regularly and severally. Okay. So it was not anything out of the ordinary. It was not being done to cite either the party leader or the deputy party leader. But you see, there are also good leaders who have been mentoring us, and at times it is good to give junior NEC members a chance to express themselves.
60 seconds, final.
I simply want to say that I have told you the parliamentary vetting was stage managed where one person was dropped. Hata hiyo ya kinawa ni vipindi, in politics we call them vipindire. Because tell me why today somebody comes and says I'm the SG, they are not even called in for questioning, they're not even called by the party officials. Then within 12 hours of them declaring themselves at around 8 in the evening, 6 a.m. there is an event where...
There was no meeting at 6 a.m. No,
6 a.m.
I was
the
in
next
the meeting.
day. Okay,
No,
okay,
friend,
9 a.m. Let's talk of 9 a.m.
It was 7 a.m. 7:30.
7 a.m. you come in and you say now, who you, SG, is bringing in goons, let us do away with him. How did you investigate it was Malala who brought in the goons?
We know.
How did you do all those investigations?
You cannot tell us about
in politics, we call them vipindi. It was planned, it was stage managed.
You cannot tell someone about things happening in their bedroom. Yeah. It is them to tell you what is happening in their bedroom.
It's okay. Yeah. What I want to tell you, ilikuwa kipindire, and if that is how UDA is going to run this nation, we are out for drama. And my last comments, I really want to tell maybe the UDA party, your member for NEC is really doing a good work in sanitizing the government. Please, tell him haifanyangu hivyo sana. He's even now making it look like ana practicing the whole night. Okay. So, aongezewe allowances kidogo. He's doing too much.
Thank you so much, Jerika Higa, National Youth Leader, Political Party PNU, and Kiroga Dhuku, MCA Shinga.
Thank you, Fred.
Chairperson of the UDA MCA's caucus and a member of the UDA Party National Executive Committee. Thank you, our panelists this morning, for helping us go through the main headlines today. Most importantly, the Nane Nane protests and the swearing in